But the president, in all his wisdom, has decided to come out and start going after our guns again. So we have to analyze and discuss his press conference. Well, it really wasn't a press conference. His executive orders that are going to be coming out. And he said a lot of very interesting things that left me scratching my head on why he's doing any of the executive orders that he's doing. Because if you think about it, his executive orders of gun kits, which is one of the most minute portions of anyone's gun collection, if they even have one. They're very rare anyways. But that's one of his biggest concerns. That's going to curb the violence in our cities. That's it. I mean, that's one of the most, that's number one for him to do. Then he's going to turn around and say, all right, well, we're going to take a very extreme case and we're going to make that the basis of everything we do here. Because some idiots that go out and do stupid things are now going to try to infringe on our rights as law-abiding citizens. That doesn't make any sense. But we're going to get into that. Because Biden has had enough. He's had enough. It's the children, damn it. You want to save the children? Stop doing half the shit you're doing. Because with their so-called ghost guns, which is nonsense, if you look at the murder rate in these cities, they're not being done with friggin' ghost guns with homemade kits. They're being done with stolen guns. But let's not talk about that because that doesn't fit our agenda. He totally misspoke when it comes to gun shows. Totally misspoke, and he was caught out on it. He's trying to misrepresent what happens at gun shows. If you are a licensed dealer, you do background checks, no matter where you buy them. This was a circus. This was a bunch of Democrats sitting there patting themselves on the back saying, hey, this is our start. And you're going to hear him. He said, this is just the beginning. He's nowhere close to finish what he wants to do, which is ban your guns. Mandatory confiscation, or mandatory buyback, they like to call it. But welcome again to another episode. I'm so happy you guys are here. As you all know, I'm Joe Vollano, and we are going to, again, discuss the nonsense that's going on down in Washington because it's absolutely amazing to me. If you want to call in, phone number as always, 203-679-9610. Or if you feel free, you could email us at straighttalkjv@gmail.com. So always feel free to send us an email if you don't feel like calling in. Or you could always chat with us over here on Facebook. Since we're on Facebook Live, and we're also on our YouTube channel, which is Straight Talk with Joe Vollano. So feel free to drop in there too and leave a comment there. So I mean, again, you know, and I feel like I always say this every single week that we live in dangerous times. But every week, this dumbass comes out with something new that puts us in this position again. Because my favorite line out of this whole press conference, I'm going to save it to the end because I think it's hilarious. Because the statement that was said, and the reason why that statement was said, was because of the same freaking people sitting here trying to confiscate more guns. all the rules that they put on our police departments and all the hatred and vitriol that they've been spewing for the last 4 years, trying to hamstring our police departments. You're going to hear it and you're going to be like, WTF. Like, WTF, I don't get it. But I want to try to get to the infrastructure bill. So we're going to try to get through these as fast as we can, because I think it is very important for us to get to the infrastructure bill tonight. We really didn't get a chance to talk about it during our last episode. And I got to tell you, with everything going on and the way these, I'm going to try to be polite, because it is the President of the United States. He is my president. No matter whether I like him or not, he is my president. So I'm trying to be. I'm going to try to be polite, but they make it harder and harder for me to do, because every time they turn around and something comes out of their mouth, it's the most asinine thing I've ever heard. And they like to play, feel good politics, going on your emotion. But when you get down to it, everything they want to do absolutely does nothing to get to the root cause of the real freaking problem. But gun control conversations are extremely hard to have. I got a lot of conversations that are probably extremely hard to have. And it's only hard to have on Democrats' side because they're so friggin' stupid on the subject. They know absolutely no idea what they're talking about. So yes, when you try to have a conversation with people who own guns, like myself, or people who know the rules and know the laws and know the statistics, yeah, it is hard to have that conversation, because the more you open your mouth on the Democrat side, the more asinine and stupid you sound. And the more dangerous, because you have the power right now. So let's jump right into this. We're going to go out. We're going to go to cut 7 here. And this is the first introduction to the meeting, to the forum yesterday.
My career, I have seen gun violence up close. I've looked at autopsy photographs. I've seen with my own 2 eyes what a bullet can do to the human body. I've held hands with the hands of parents who have lost a child. I have seen children who were traumatized by the loss of a parent or sibling. And I have fought my entire career to end this violence and to pass reasonable gun safety laws.
That nonsense. She sat there, she held hands. What? In Los Angeles, that has one of the highest crime rates in the entire freaking country? Was that? I like her to answer the question. Okay, let's take your premise. You've held the hands. I got you. Again, working on that emotion. What was it? It was gun violence, most likely. Because if you look at the cities of California, where she was Attorney General, gang violence was running rampant. Shootings in the state of California were almost 75% gang related. But she held those hands of the people that, of the children where their parents or their brothers or sisters were gangbangers. But let's not talk about that. You notice she didn't mention it. She just held their hand, because she wants to make sure that you understand she knows what's going on. Let's continue on with the nonsense.
Time and again, as progress has stalled, we've all asked, what are we waiting for? Because we aren't waiting for a tragedy, I know that. We've had more tragedy than we can bear. We aren't waiting for solutions either, because the solutions exist. They already exist. People on both sides of the aisle want action. Real people on both sides of the aisle.
People, real people want action. Do you know what that means? Real people. That's not us deplorables. That's not us deplorables. We're not. We're not real people. We don't exist. We're just imaginary. Yeah, but she was right on one thing. She was very right on one thing. There are rules on the books that are not followed. Not followed. Isn't it strange that we're talking about an issue where most of this happens in Democrat cities? But they'll never mention that. Most shootings happen in Democrat cities. That's just a fact. And there's many reasons why. Gangs, drugs, that's just a small part. So to sit there and listen to these people talk, it is so annoying to me because they have absolutely no idea what the hell they're talking about. Or they do know what they're talking about, but they won't tell you the real meaning behind their words, because if you did know the meaning behind their words, you'd be like, well, I don't think that's a problem then. I don't think that's a problem for legal, law-abiding citizens. Do you really think that thieves, criminals, muggers, rapists, murderers give two craps about the law? You think they're going to walk up and say, hey, this is a gun-free zone. Ah, crap. I got to put my gun down. No. They love seeing gun-free zones because they're easy targets, whoever's inside of them. The madness is just pure madness to me on why we allow these things to happen. All right, so we're going to go back. Now we're going to go over to our great vice president kissing the ass of our current president, because I don't know why he can't do this stuff himself. Maybe he just doesn't remember it. But here we go.
And President Joe Biden has the will and the courage to act. As a United States Senator, Joe Biden took on the gun lobby not once but twice, and he won.
We're calling these the new billion-dollar solar.
Of course, these things are going to jump in on us there. But, okay, let's just think about what she just said there for. Yeah, Joe Biden's taken them on once, not twice. He put more people in jail for nonviolent crimes than anything. So I don't know what he was taking on. He hasn't taken on anything with the gun lobby other than trying to get magazines lowered. So I know it's easy for them to turn around and try to, come up with stupid, platitudes for them.
In 1993, he worked to pass the Brady Handgun Violation Prevention Act. This law established a background check system and has kept more than 3 million firearms out of the hands of dangerous people. A year later, he worked to pass another law to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines for 10 years. And as vice president, Joe Biden led the Obama-Biden administration's efforts to reduce gun violence.
Is that what he meant? Or did he just mean that we don't want guns in the hands of American citizens, but we can most certainly send them across the border to drug cartels so that they could use them to kill our Border Patrol agents? It's just crazy listening to them, and it's irritating. So I see we have our friendly liberals on tonight, and I always enjoy watching them and seeing them. And my blood pressure is just fine, Mr. Hansen. Even though you guys do try to get it to go up. There's some stupid Republicans. Mitt Romney, just to, just to throw one out there, and not the sharpest tool in the shed. But it's hard to get just bad people. We do. That's what we need to do. Again, and we can explain how you get guns out of bad people's hands. I mean, New York did a terrific job under Giuliani to get guns off the street. Stop and frisk was highly successful. But you notice it was taken away as soon as a Democrat took over. And next thing you know, you're seeing crime and gun violence skyrocket. So explain that to me. I know, Craig, you want me to explain. I just did. Now I would love to see you guys explain that crap to me. Because, again, it's not ghost guns that are killing people out in the streets. They're not home building kits. They're stolen guns with the serial numbers sawed off. So it's far from that. I see our cameras playing games again. Unbelievable to me. But I'll fix that as we go along here. But let's see. So it might come back in and out. I don't know why. It enjoys to do that every once in a while. So we'll just you guys can just see how much time I have left on my camera and how much battery life I have left. Small inconvenience, but what do you want for greatness? It's the conversation we're having that makes you guys, I know, sit here. It's not looking at my camera, even though I'm sure I am pretty to look at. So after she got done kissing his ass, the Grand Puma himself steps to the mic, says he did remember where it was. And this is what he said, because these first ones are classic.
To confront not just the gun crisis, but what is actually a public health crisis. Nothing I'm about to recommend in any way impinges on the Second Amendment. They're phony arguments suggesting that these are Second Amendment rights at stake from what we're talking about. But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute. You can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater. We call it freedom of speech. From the very beginning, you couldn't own any weapon you wanted to own. From the very beginning the Second Amendment existed, certain people weren't allowed to have weapons. So the idea is...
So the point he's trying to make is that because back in the day, and again, and I'll give credit, I mean, I don't want people who have mental illnesses having guns. If you could get guns out of the hand of mental ill people, mass shootings would be non-existent. But how do you do that? And we could go over many ways that you could do that. But to sit there and say, well, all guns are going to be taken off because the United States decides that they don't want to tackle mental illness is lunacy, because those people that have guns are the ones that stop mass shootings from happening. And the things you don't hear are the self-defense shootings that save somebody's life, the shootings of I guess my camera again. So there's many things that happen that people, good guys with guns, stop. It's unfortunate. It's just like the war on terror, anything else. They only have to be right once. We have to be right once. We have to be right all the time, so we try. But to sit there and say we're just going to ban all guns is just ridiculous. So the president continues on with...
Gun violence in this country is an epidemic. Let me say it again. Gun violence in this country is an epidemic, and it's an international embarrassment.
Embarrassment. No, what's an international embarrassment is half the shit you're doing. That's an international embarrassment. It's not our gun violence. Because we don't even rank in like the top 50 for gun violence around the world. So to sit there and say that, we're an international embarrassment because of guns is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know where he gets that. It's not an epidemic in our culture as a whole. Now, is it an epidemic in cities? Chicago, Detroit, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Las Vegas. Is it an epidemic there? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. So I got an idea. Why don't you focus on that? Because Chicago has the strongest gun control laws in the country. But they had 4,033 shootings last year. 769 dead. Let me repeat that again. 769 dead with over 4,033 shootings in the city of Chicago alone last year. Those aren't those aren't NRA members. Those weren't, for a majority, those weren't licensed carriers. They have a drug problem in Chicago. They have an economic situation in Chicago. They have a gang problem in Chicago. In a lot of these cities. Detroit, 327 dead, up 19%. 1,173 shootings, up 53%. Again, the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. It's not because of legal gun owners. But yet, we seem to be the only ones in the crosshairs. We're the only ones in the crosshairs. I don't see them moving to make steps to get guns off the streets. They just want them out of our safes. And it doesn't make any sense. So then he goes on to try to use the South Carolina murders of a family and one of their workers as a reason to ban all guns. To get assault rifles, or as he calls them, military weapons. Listen, if you went to a war with an AR-15, you were the dumbest individual in the world. Most ARs are 22s. Most. A 22 caliber. That's like maybe a step or two steps over a BB gun. That's a weapon of war? What the hell are you talking about? The thing, like I said, the things that come out of their mouths are extremely strange. So we're going to continue on with the president's remarks.
In a purpose and demand that we take the action that gives meaning to the word enough. Enough, enough, enough. Because what they want you to know.
Yeah, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough of you trying to come after legal people who are doing the right thing, went through the process the right way, is being super protective of their weapons. Yes, it is enough. I think it's enough of you guys coming after us. It's just crazy. Because again, why don't you focus, if you want to talk about real gun control, why don't you focus on the main reasons for it, the root cause of it? economic conditions in the cities. It is a proven fact. It is statistically proven time and time again. When you have a lower income community, you have higher crime rates. And it doesn't take a genius to figure out why. When you have single parent households, gangs are up significantly in that area. Why? It does not take a friggin' genius to figure it out. It doesn't. It's just people don't want to have those conversations because it's so much easier, again, to go after the people that are going to fight back against you, which is, again, Republicans and legal gun owners. We get to sit here and have a conversation like this, and then what? And then they do nothing for us. But they continuously try to come back over and over and over again. And you're going to hear at the end, this is just the beginning. He hasn't even come close to doing what they want. And I got to tell you, our U.S. Senator Blumenthal is the biggest friggin' moron out of them all. Because he's helping to lead the charge. He's helping to lead the charge, even though he's been very, very instrumental in causing the conditions of why most people are in the position they're in. The best way to control the people is to make sure they have no way of fighting back. That's why the Second Amendment was friggin' created in the first place. Which is why the last comment is going to be so hilarious when you hear it. The things that come out of these people's mouths is just unbelievable. All right, we're going to go to number 12 now. This is where they're going to start. Here are the executive orders that he's going to implement for all of us to follow.
So I'm here to talk about two things. First, the steps we're going to take immediately. And second, the action that needs to be taken going forward to curb the epidemic of gun violence. I asked the Attorney General and his team to identify for me immediate, concrete actions I could take now without having to go through the Congress. And today I'm announcing...
Because why the hell would you want to go through Congress, right? Why would you want to do that? Because you don't want to put some senators and some representatives on the hot seat coming into an election next year? Because you know none of this is going to come up. None of this.
In several initial steps my administration is taking to curb this epidemic of gun violence. Much more need be done, but the first, want to rein in the proliferation of so-called ghost guns. These are guns that are homemade, built from a kit, that include directions on how to finish the firearm. You can go buy the kit.
So, I will give a $100 gift certificate to the first person that could turn around and tell me when the last shooting of a ghost gun to murder somebody was. I'll let you guys go search into Google, let you search everywhere. Go find me the last time a homemade gun, a kit gun, was used in a murder in the United States of America. I'll wait. There's plenty of time. We got about an hour before we're done here. So feel free to look, and you get a $100 gift certificate to anywhere you want. I got you.
They have no serial numbers, so when they show up at a crime scene, they can't be traced. And the buyers aren't required to pass a background check to buy the kit, to make the gun. Consequently, anyone from a criminal to a terrorist can buy this kit in as little as 30 minutes, put together a weapon.
I got an idea for President Biden. I got an idea. He wants to talk about terrorists making homemade guns. I got an idea. Why don't you close the southern border to stop them from coming in? And then we don't even have to worry about the homemade guns they got. We don't have to worry about the homemade bombs they make. We don't have to worry about any of that. So you want to solve that problem real quick? Why don't you just realize what's going on down at the southern border? And go ahead and fix that first. And there you go. You've wiped that whole problem out. And we'll get into the border at the very last segment of the show tonight because it is hilarious what is going on at the border now and how the White House is trying to talk circles around it and backtrack when they're trying to do something. And we'll get into that a little later on. But that's just a little teaser. The White House, I think, is liking Mr. Donald Trump.
You know, I want to see these kits treated as firearms under the Gun Control Act, which is going to require that the seller and manufacturers make the key parts with serial numbers and run background checks on the buyers when they walk in to buy that package. The second action we're going to take, back in the year 2000, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms released a report on its investigations of firearms trafficking in America. The report was of pivotal value. It was an important tool for policymakers when I was in the Senate and beyond, at all levels, to stop.
So a report is going to be what's going to stop gun violence on the streets of America. It's going to be, that is what's going to stop gun violence in America.
Stop firearms from being illegally diverted into dangerous hands. Today, with online sales and ghost guns, times and trafficking methods have changed, and we have to adjust. We also have to ask the Justice Department to release a new annual report. This report will better help policymakers address firearms trafficking as it is today, not what it was yesterday. The third change, we want to treat pistols modified with stabilizing braces with the seriousness they deserve. A stabilizing brace shook in a pencil essentially makes that pistol a hell of a lot more accurate than a mini rifle. As a result, it's more lethal, effectively turning it into a short-barreled rifle.
So again, the things he's talking about are very, very minute when it comes to the real problem happening. So why? Why did they do this? Why is this where they start? They start here because it gets them in the door. It's a test. It's a feel. Okay, how far did we get? Now we're going to go ahead and push it a little bit more. All right, so what's next? All right, we got kit guns gone, or with serial numbers now, which is fine, whatever. Don't care. They're very minute. Paul, I see you came up with one. Was that a murder, or was that just a shooting? One out of hundreds of thousands that are shot every year. But yes, this is the kind of things that we're talking about. So after they get those, they'll push it a little bit more. Next thing you know, it's magazines. Connecticut already has that. Then they're going to push banning more assault rifles, which there's no such thing as an assault rifle. And then they'll keep pushing more and more. They do it on everything, from taxes to welfare to guns, until they get everything that they want in the end. And they do it slowly but surely so that nobody's paying attention. It's just unbelievable to me that we allow this kind of stuff to happen, because if we don't stop it now, same thing like we talked about last week, the COVID passports. If you don't stop it now, it becomes a greater problem in the future. Because where does it end? There's always going to be something else they want to add to it. So here is our Commander-in-Chief.
During my campaign for president, I wanted to make it easier for states to adopt extreme risk protection order laws. They're also called red flag laws, which everybody in this lawn knows, but many people listening do not know. These laws allow a police or family member to petition a court in their jurisdiction and say, I want you to temporarily remove from the following people any firearm they may possess. Because
Okay. Very controversial. Because different states will have their own interpretation of what it would mean to be mentally deficient. The government does not have that right. I know a lot of people are going to sit there and say, well, we need to make sure that we get all mental health people without guns without. Absolutely. If a family member reports them, okay. But who gets to make that determination? Because with this law, normally it would be a psychiatrist, a psychologist. It'd be someone with a medical degree. It says, all right, this person is unstable. They should not have a gun. I am 110% with that. But it's not for some local official to make that determination, because you are still given rights in this country. And if you are not a danger to yourself or someone else, they can't just come out and say, well, we feel that you are a danger, so therefore we're taking guns. Because I tell you what, they could come take my guns because I maybe call... here we go. I think every single politician in Washington is a friggin' criminal. I believe that for the most part. I believe most of them are very unethical and very corrupt. Does that mean now they could come up here and take my guns because they now consider me to be hostile towards them? Maybe I have a mental illness. Who gets to make that determination? Who gets to make that? If it's a health professional, all for it. If a family member has a concern, all for it. But to sit there and say because I disagree with you, or I have views that some people might say, oh, well, that's a conspiracy theory. Now I'm not allowed to have a weapon? No. It's a slippery slope. When you give government control to do something, it usually never ends well. There's always going to be certain ones that take advantage of it, certain ones that don't. If you have a state like Connecticut that is very anti-gun, it makes that so much easier because, like he said, he wants to give the states the power to turn around and make strict red flag laws. I don't trust a damn person up in Hartford. Not one. Not one. And that goes for all of them. Government is a necessary evil. And it is an evil. Because all they do is try to take as much power away from you and give it to them. That's been with every government that's ever existed. But again, am I going to give them the ability to tell me whether or not they think I'm fit enough to have a weapon? No. That's my constitutional right to have it. The last time I checked, we're innocent until proven guilty. You can make an accusation, that's fine. But you're not going to be able to take someone's gun away from them because of that. There has to be proof, and it has to be done by a medical professional. I am not willing to give government officials the power to take anyone's freedom away. If you get arrested for something, fine. Because now you have proven that you are not either one, responsible enough to handle a weapon, or two, mentally stable enough to handle a weapon. But we have no idea where this goes to. It could be just, oh, well, you talk badly against government. Therefore, you should not have a weapon. That's very dangerous because, again, that falls on the freedom of speech, and I'm allowed to say whatever the hell I want because you know what? I agree with it. So, let's move on.
Additionally, we recognize that cities across the country are experiencing historic spikes in homicides, as the law enforcement can tell you. The violence is hitting black and brown communities the hardest. Homicide is the leading cause of death of black boys and men ages 15 to 34.
Holy crap. Is it really? Is it really? We should double check that. Because last time I heard, it was friggin' police officers shooting them. Hold on a second. Someone go back and double check that, please. Someone has to fact check the president. Because he just said that gun violence in our inner cities is what's killing them the most. It wasn't police officers. Wow. I mean, if you were sitting around for the last 2-3 years, you would think that police officers were just roaming the streets shooting at people. Maybe he read his teleprompter wrong. Mr. President, did you mean that police officers shooting black and brown people was the biggest problem in our country when it comes to gun violence? Someone should double check that. Maybe, like I said, maybe he read that teleprompter wrong. But no, he didn't. Because it is black on black crime. It is black on black shootings that is killing the black community. He just told you. It's not police officers. It never was. Never was. They wanted you to believe that because they needed it to get votes. They needed to solidify the black community that's maybe less informed on what's really going on. Or maybe they just like playing victim. Or maybe it's just a cultural issue going on within their community. But nobody wants to talk about that. No, it was just police officers. Police officers are bad. Again, just one more nugget into his final comment that he makes. But you heard it there. It was not police officers. Police officers are not the leading cause of death in the black community. Wow. Fooled me. Like I said, over the last 3 years, I heard they were just roaming the street on a rampage. But I guess that's just me. So, let's move on to number 17 here.
This gun violence in our neighborhood is having profound impact on our children, even if they're never involved in pulling the trigger or being the victim of on the other side of a trigger. For a fraction of the cost of gun violence, we can save lives, create safe and healthy communities, and build economies that work for all of us.
Whoa! Whoa, hold on. Hold on a second. Hold on. Did I just hear that correctly? Did I just hear that correctly? I must not have. It must be. I must have been mistaken. I must have been mistaken because last time I checked, the economies in these cities suck because they're Democrat run. Hell, I'll take it here to Meriden. If you guys weren't here for the 5:30 show, we were listening in on the city of Meriden budget. And of course, they want to raise taxes again. What else is new? They're friggin' Democrats. That's all they want to do. Even though they got $21 million from the state and federal government. Plus, they're taking everyone's tax exemption away. But they're not going to talk about that. Let's not talk about that. That's not the problem. It's piss poor management. Are you trying to tell me for the last 30 years that it was guns that was preventing the government from making strong economic policy inside the cities? And it's guns that have now been the reason why you can't get economic stability in these cities? No, I got an idea. It's because your dumbass policies in these cities that are causing it. Meriden is a prime example of that. Meriden is a prime example of that. Look at our downtown. We spent millions to sit there and renovate downtown. We added a green. We added a train station. We gave tax abatements at 80% to developers to come put buildings up. With all these promises that everything was going to be beautiful down there, that place is going to be bustling. People are going to be coming in from the cities, and they're going to want to live here because of it. And then they go and put public housing in all of it. People who don't have disposable income. And then they wonder 5 years later why not a single business has moved in to these buildings. But then they also wonder why crime is up. But if they had listened to the deputy police chief, who said, and it's a statistic, so most people just don't like hearing about it because it's not emotionally good for them, because they don't want to, we don't want to sit there and stereotype. It's not a stereotype if it's friggin' true. The deputy police chief turned around and said, if you bring in low-income housing at this rate, you're going to make the city a less safe place. You're going to have social services skyrocket, costs go skyrocket, and you're going to have police department resources skyrocket in those areas. In those areas. And do you know what's happened? Exactly what he said. Because stats don't lie. Facts are not up for debate. They are what they are. You either want to accept them or you want to play bullshit games and get yourself into a freaking situation like Meriden has. Meriden's in a situation they can't get themselves out of without spending millions of dollars. It's just a fact because it's been mismanaged. Not by gun owners, by friggin' stupid politicians at City Hall, in our state capital, in Washington. That's why our country is so fucked up. It's not because of guns and gun owners. They want you to believe that so that they could turn around and say, we're taking your guns away so you don't come after us later on when we really put this place in the shitter. That is one of the first things you do in a Marxist society is shut people up, take weapons away from them so they can't fight back, and give people something for nothing. If you have not put all these pieces together over the last 4 weeks that we have been here, you really need to re-examine what we're doing and what I'm saying. Because every week is just another piece of the puzzle that's put into place. And if you go read Marxism, you are going to realize everything they are doing is just another piece of the puzzle to get us there, to get control over you. That's what they want. That's what it's always been about. It's not about guns. It's not about gangs. It's not about money. It's all about control. Because if they have control, then they have everything. And if we allow that to happen, we are the only ones to blame in this country. They work for us. We do not work for them. But at what point do we say enough is enough? And I know I come up here every single week and I say it. What is your breaking point? That's what I like to know. What is your breaking point? When are you going to say enough is enough? And I hope it's next election day. Because that's what needs to happen. Next election, we need to change course. If we don't, we are the only ones to blame. All right. Now, this is the comment that I just shook my head at and said, what the... And
even law enforcement officials have told me and told other champions of this legislation they sometimes feel outgunned by assault weapons with large capacity magazines.
Okay. That is the most ludicrous fucking statement I ever heard. Because every Democrat for the last 20, 30 years have been trying to defund the police department in one way or another. Whether it's we're not giving you the vehicles that you need, we're not giving you the weapons you need. Yeah. That's their magical, that's them thinking that this is some kind of fairy tale that's going on here. It's ridiculous. These people have been trying to hamstring and handcuff the police departments for so long. Harris herself, the vice president of the United States herself, is the first one to turn around and say, well, hey, the police departments don't need these vehicles. They don't need an armored vehicle? No. They don't need specialized equipment. They don't need specialized training. Again, they're not going after, when they're using those SWAT teams, they're not going after a normal gun owner. They're going after hardened criminals. Do you feel outmanned and outgunned? You probably do, because these same Democrats that are now trying to feed you this nonsense of gun control is the same ones that hamstrung you and put you into position, a vulnerable position at that. They're the ones that have done that to you. It's not Republicans. Republicans didn't do that to you. Police departments tell me that we feel outgunned sometimes. Yeah, well, I got an idea. Why don't you fund the police departments the way they should be? Why don't you stop hamstringing them, especially here in the state of frickin' Connecticut? Connecticut loves it. Their Accountability Act was the biggest piece of BS legislation. Trying to hamstring our police departments and then at the same time turn around and tell us, well, they're feeling outgunned. No shit. No shit they are. Because of your dumb ass that's trying to friggin' do it. That have been doing it. Fund the police departments the way they need to be funded. And if they don't need to be funded that way, make the case. But don't sit there and say it's because of guns. Don't sit there and say it's because of legal gun owners. We do not have a problem in America with legal gun owners. We have a problem with criminals. And they don't follow gun laws. They don't. Why don't you attack that? Why don't you go fix that problem? And when you're done fixing that, when you can tell me that criminals don't have friggin' guns anymore, you could come have a conversation with me on why I shouldn't carry one. Because until you get that shit under control, you can kiss my ass. Plain and simple. But again, it's easier to come after us because we're the ones they need to control. We're the ones they need to control. That's why they do it. It's not about those guns in the hands of criminals. They need to control us, who are informed, who care about our rights. That's why they do this. That's why they come at legal gun owners. And that's why, again, never let a crisis go to waste is why every time something happens, they come at us instead of going after the root problem. Sandy Hook is a prime example of that. You want to talk about a household that should have never had a fucking gun? That is it. And you want to talk about bad parenting? That was it. You take your mentally disabled child out to a gun range and let them work with a gun? Are you freaking out of your mind? That's the problem. It's not a majority of legal gun owners. We use our weapons in a safe manner. We conduct ourselves in a safe manner. But since you can't control us, you have to disarm us. And I'll be damned the day they try to come and take mine. No one controls me. I followed the law. I do what's right. And that's it. If I was to break the law, then I pay those consequences. And if that means my gun gets taken away from me, my guns get taken away from me, then so be it. But don't think you're going to come and tell me, as a law-abiding citizen, you're going to come take my constitutional rights away from me? It ain't going to happen. That's exactly why I sit here every week. And I do my greatest liberty of all, free speech, where I can tell my president to go fuck himself. Because you're barking up the wrong tree. But they don't want to go after the real problem. Because again, the real problem is us. Law-abiding citizens who are informed and don't play by their bullshit. You're not gonna come in and try to take our guns because we're the hardest ones to control. That's just ridiculous. All right, we got one more soundbite for tonight, and then I'm gonna get some final thoughts.
I know that the conversation about guns in this country can be a difficult one. But even here, there's much more common ground than anyone would believe. There's much.
Where? Where is the common ground? Where is the common ground? You want to come after legal, law-abiding citizens and take away our constitutional right. Now, I know a lot of you liberals on here are going to sit there and say, well, he never said that. But if you pay attention and follow the breadcrumbs, as Mr. Cerrone loves to tell me, follow the breadcrumbs. So you leave breadcrumbs. They leave breadcrumbs every single time they speak. And at the end of the day, when you get to the pot of gold, it's their pot of gold that they're taking all guns away. Now they have complete control over you to do anything they want. You know who did that? I know everybody hates it when we say it. Nazis did that. That's exactly what they did. They controlled your speech. Then they took away your guns. And now you had no way to fight back, and you were screwed. This isn't a battle about guns. At the end of the day, this is not about a battle of guns. This is about a battle of control and who's going to have it. Are we going to let them have control, or are we as a people going to have control? That's the real question here. This is all just an illusion and BS to sit there and try to justify something that's unjustifiable. There is not a single statistic that they could point to justify it. There is no common sense rationale for it, which is why they don't do it. They don't try to even present it. Because again, anyone with half a brain and common sense will realize what's really going on here. Legal, law-abiding citizens have trillions of rounds of ammunition and millions of guns. If we were the problem, you would have known about it years ago. Years ago. If law-abiding citizens with guns was the reason for all what's going on with gun violence in America, you would have known about it years ago, because there are so many guns out there. And our federal government is the biggest traffickers of guns in the world anyways. And last time I checked, Mr. Biden, it was your administration with Barack Obama that was giving guns to the cartels down in Mexico. Fast and Furious, in case anybody has not ever seen or heard about it, look up Fast and Furious, where the administration was giving guns down in Mexico, which they then went ahead and used to kill a border patrol agent. And you're telling me that we're the danger in this country? We're not the danger. Government's the danger. And our forefathers knew that, which is why they put the Second Amendment in there. And I think David Chappelle said it best. We have the First Amendment, and the Second Amendment is right after it, and that's our security in case the First Amendment doesn't work. That is the most accurate statement ever. Our Second Amendment is there in case the First Amendment doesn't work. If our government decides to take advantage of their power that we as a people give to them, and we continue to give it to them. Why? I have no idea why we give power to people that are doing nothing more but trying to control you. But we have, unfortunately, voters that are uninformed. We have voters that just enjoy more free stuff than actually going out and working. Unfortunately, we have more people that pay no taxes, federal taxes, than pay federal taxes. So the government could easily start to put people in little boxes and put those divides in to try to divide us, to have us back and forth at each other while they pull their bullshit. This is just one more piece of their puzzle that they're trying to pursue to divide us and to get control of us. Whether you want to believe that or not. Like I said, go back over the last 4 episodes and look at all the things we've talked about. And then go read the Handbook for Marxism and tell me that's not exactly what they're doing. Step by step by step. Because it is. It's exactly what they're doing. Are you ready now to go out there and inform yourself and to educate yourself on what it is? I can only give you so much. I can't sit there and hold your hand the whole way. You need to go out there and do your own research. You need to go out there and read and educate yourself. Or else I would have to be here every single day going through each and every part of it. And at the rate this administration is going, we might have to be here 2-3 times a week. At the rate he's going, and with the nonsense that's coming out and all these things they're trying to do, it's hard to cover it. We've done this for an hour already. And I haven't even gotten the infrastructure yet. The Border Patrol, the southern border. Guess what's being built down at the southern border now? Yeah, Donald Trump's wall is being finished. A total 180 on it. Total 180. Now they're finishing up the border sections that weren't completed yet under Donald Trump. Why? Because it is a friggin' crisis down there at an epic proportion. They have no idea what they're doing down there. They have absolutely no control over it. And they have nothing left to do but to finish building the wall. And I didn't have a chance to do it because I had all this going on, but maybe on Sunday, I think we're gonna have a show. We're probably gonna have a show on Sunday. But I'm gonna break out that press conference where the press secretary, she was absolutely out of her mind. She couldn't circle back enough to walk it back. To sit there going, no, we're not really building a wall. This was stuff that was temporarily already allocated. Really? Because last time, on the first day, we were told, no, all funding was stopped. All funding was going to be reallocated somewhere else. And that the border wall had stopped being built. But not anymore. Not anymore. All these little holes in the wall are now being plugged. But they just want asylum, don't they? That's all these people are looking for. They're not a danger. Or as AOC would say, they're not insurgents. Wow, how the tables have turned. Maybe Donald Trump was right. Huh. Imagine that. Imagine that. But you'll never hear that from them. Never. You'll never hear it. Donald Trump was right, in case all those liberals out there in the world. Any presidential good news? I'm trying to find it. I haven't found anything yet. Why see one disaster after another? Hell, we just spent an hour on the disaster that it is. Hey, Mr. Hans, I don't give a shit who pays for the wall. I don't really care. In fact, Mexico did pay for it because look at all the great extra money we got from our trade deals down in Mexico. Again, thank you, Mr. Trump. That's all you got to say. You can say it. Thank you, Mr. Trump. So Mexico is paying for that wall. It's like China pays for so much stuff now. But I can see that being scaled back when the China trade deals get resume again, and they start trying to take away the tariffs. So no, I haven't seen anything good. I haven't seen a damn thing come out of the Biden administration that's been good so far. All I see are Democrats trying to take people's liberties away and trying to get more control. But at the same time, they want to talk about guns. But like I said, last year alone, we had over 6,000 shootings in just two cities. Just two cities. More shootings than every friggin' police officer shooting, self-defense shooting, while they're having wars out there in our cities. And they're having literal wars out there. There's literal war going on in the city streets. And instead of tackling that, they're coming after law-abiding citizens. But, I mean, look, they come after us when it comes to immigration. Oh, no, it's not the immigrants that are the problem, that are coming over illegally, that are coming over without any vaccinations or anything. No, it's you guys that are trying to fight it. Okay. I mean, I'll play this game every week. It's fine. Until people wake up. And I think people are starting to wake up, which is why I think they're getting a little nervous, which is why all of a sudden gun control is their number one key focus now. Gun sales are through the roof. I think Mike just said it today. The gun stores were jamming yesterday. They're always busy. The Second Amendment's there for a reason. It's for when your government gets too out of control. But you must remember, we have control over the government. And we do it at the voting booth. So I hope you guys are going to use the voting booth and your vote and your privilege as a voter to do what's right and to stop the madness. We'll have a show on Sunday night. So we'll have a show Sunday at 7 o'clock. Same channel, same time. Be here, be square. I think it's important. You know, it's a lot. It takes a lot of work to put these shows together, but I am willing to do what I need to do to make sure that everybody is informed. So we will have a show on Sunday. We'll have it at 7 p.m. And you know, I can't stress it enough to stay informed. And I hope everyone comes out and does some reading. Do some reading. Just look at the 4 topics we handled: immigration, gun control, taxes, and gangs and violence, and the racial divide. If you look at those 4 subjects and then go read the handbook to Marxism, you're going to be very, very shocked at the similarities on what's going on. Or a handbook of a radical. I'll post it in the comment section. Handbooks for Radicals by Karl Marx. And you'll see they are following that handbook step by step by step. And until people know, they need to wake up before it's too late. But as always, I thank everyone for being here tonight. Like I said, if you caught the 5:30 show, Meriden, if you live in Meriden, it's friggin' madness. Make sure you're contacting your counselors, letting them know there's no need for a tax increase this year. They're getting plenty of extra money from the state and federal government. Like I said, along with all the tax exemptions that's going away, make sure you're calling them and letting them know, no new taxes. Leave it the way it is. We've had enough. We already got 14% coming on sewer and water. So let's just wait till next year and we'll re-examine. But again, go out, do your research, and make sure you're reading up on what's going on in your local town and city. But until next time, be safe, be well. Of course, I love you all, liberals and Democrats alike. It's our country. We need to make sure that we know what's going on in it and that we're holding the people that are running our country as our representatives accountable for what they do. I'm not going to let politicians put us against each other. Yes, we're going to be kind to one another. We're going to speak facts to one another because they are what they are. And we don't learn anything unless we talk about facts. So, until next time, be well, be safe, treat each other with kindness. You know, show some love in your circle of influence. Spread out your circle of influence. Share this show. Share your comments. I'm going to be commenting on some of the comments that came up. I'm going to post some stuff for some reading material for you guys to read if you feel so. But until next time, God bless you and God bless these great United States of America. I love you all. Until Sunday, 7 o'clock. I'll see you then.